There is no other way. There is no other way.
Tell yourself no and sit down and work.
Exactly. Don't think. Don't think.
Hello and welcome. My name is Myriam Catrin. I'm a texture artist in visual effects. Welcome to my podcast. Let's be honest, a life and a career as a working artist can be very fulfilling, but it's not for the faint of heart. It's filled with challenges and obstacles, and the path forward is not always clear or simple. On this podcast, we discuss all of this openly and honestly with experienced artists who have already walked that road. That's why I call it the naked texture artist. There are many podcasts that focus on and celebrate all the big achievements in visual effects and animation. But my career as a texture artist has not been one unending victory lap. So personally, I'm more interested in learning how my fellow artists handle the hard things, when things don't work, when things break, or when we're expected to produce the impossible. All of that stuff that takes place behind the curtain. So I invite you to join me on this journey. Hopefully together we can learn from the artists who went before us, save ourselves some scars and some tears, and increase our joy as working artists. Welcome to the Naked Texture Artist. Hey, how's it going? Are you working? Probably not. I'm not. Yesterday I saw this slogan on LinkedIn, "Survive to 2025. I know that is where a lot of us are right now. How are you handling it? There is this hopeful message out there that we should use this period of mayhem, deadly silence, or whatever it feels like to us, to develop new skills. That's a beautiful notion. Turn something bad into something good. I think that is, on the face of it, obviously a fantastic idea. I've not really been able to do that, simply because as long as I know there are bills to be paid, and if I'm not sure how that will get done, I struggle to find the peace of mind needed to start focusing on creating my next personal masterpiece or learning a new piece of complicated software. Both are things which take considerable mental energy. So my time has gone exclusively to searching for gigs. But I've had some long, hard chats with myself. When you already feel like an imposter as an artist, and you don't have a paycheck that sort of validates your existence as an artist, then it's up to you to find that validation inside of yourself, which is a lot harder. When I'm working as a texture artist, I feel I have the right to have a voice as a texture artist and publish this podcast as the Naked Texture Artist. But when I'm not, dare I speak up and put my voice out there as the Naked Texture Artist? Maybe you recognize some of these problems around your identity and legitimacy as an artist. One of the pieces of software on my to-do list has for the longest time been really drilling down on Unreal Engine. What's the big deal? I already did a show in Unreal Engine, although that was back in version 4. But still, I have over the course of my career learned a million different rendering engines and almost as many 3D applications, so what's one more? If you can drive a Toyota, you can drive a Ford or Volkswagen or whatever kind of car. That has certainly been my experience. The longer you work in this industry, you start seeing the matrix, and the individual tools themselves matter less and less. So, wrestling with myself, I've finally cleared enough space in my head that I'm sitting there building node graphs in Unreal Engine. And it is, of course, remarkably similar to anything else I know. before long, I'm fantasizing about how to really push my Unreal materials in both simplicity, like how far can I get with strictly procedural stuff, as well as complexity, like how many cool features can I add. And it just felt so good and so right to be doing texture things again. At the same time, a major studio just closed last week here in Montreal, and even the last few steady studios are not renewing contracts. Cartoon Brew reports that over 50% of all jobs in animation and visual effects have been lost in Quebec over the last 20 months. Personally, I believe those numbers are much higher right now. Bad news upon bad news. But then it occurred to me, as I'm sitting there enjoying simply doing texture things, life has to go on. Life has to go on. I cannot wait till I'm working professionally again as a texture artist to allow myself to have a voice so I again can put out more episodes. These wonderful conversations I've had with remarkable texture artists, they need to be played. They need to be shared for all of our sakes. We, that is, I, have to stop grieving this. It's costing us a core part of our identity, the artist part. It's costing us our humanity. Life has to go on. So, returning to normality, at least in the small part of the world which is inside of my control, I want to get back to releasing episodes on my regular schedule. I think I managed an episode every 2 months or so. I want to get back to feeling good about my life as an artist. No, I need to get back to feeling good about my life as an artist. And at this point in my life and career, that is part of that. So here's our 5th episode with Myriam Catrin. Myriam Catrin, either you're jumping up and down in excitement right now because you have greedily gulped down the previous 4 episodes with her, or maybe you're asking, who is she again? Myriam is a legend in texture painting. She has helped bring to the big screen many seminal creatures without which stories of modern cinematic masterpieces could not have been told. She's also an artist, someone who really loves this craft and thinks excellent thoughts about how and why we live our lives and do what we do. Plus, she's a sweetheart, a lovely, generous, kind person. In this episode, we talk a lot about our art heroes, people or things that inspire us, other artists, our partners, works of art, or maybe characters on the big screen. Probably the favorite topic of artists of any meridian or epoch. Because as artists, once that inspiration flows, oh boy, it's just magical. So there are a lot of goodies in this episode. We also touch on when people are trying too hard to create something inspirational, maybe underpinned by a particular agenda, which ends up falling completely flat. But I'll leave you to discover that for yourselves. We are talking about my absolute favorite topic, okay?
Okay.
If you have 2 artists that are talking about art together,
Yeah.
oh boy, you can go for a long time, And I want to be respectful of your time, of course, as well. But
No, it's okay. I mean,
as far as I'm concerned, this is gold. This is absolute gold. So,
oh, good. No, I'm actually really glad to speak with a fellow artist as well.
You have 30 artists there. You have 30 texture artists at Weta every day. Don't you talk together?
Yes, absolutely. But we talk. No, we talk. We talk. With my partner, we talk a lot about that kind of thing because he's an artist as well. He's an incredible artist. And everything like this, but it's still my favorite subject, and I love meeting new people and and speak about it because that's awesome. I mean, we have an awesome job.
When I was a young texture artist and just trying to get my first job, I thought when you have your first job,
Yeah.
I would be there with colleagues and we would be talking about cool texturing things all day long. But then the reality
Yeah.
was very different. People just want to do their assets and go home, and
Yes.
you know, and
Yeah.
a lot of them,
Yeah.
they don't even do art on the weekend. They're just like, no, I don't want to think about art. I'm done with art once I leave the office. And
Yeah.
I was very disappointed. I thought everybody were going to be excited about it. So anyway,
We have the same experience. And that's why the 6 months in Ireland was really nice,
yeah,
because you have really passionate people there. Like, and you understand why they're so good, because they are actually really, really like they are artists. They do stuff. Even like stuff who have nothing to do, they are musicians, for example. Or you have like people who have different type of arts that always fascinate me, because I'm unable to learn music. I'm very sensitive, but I'm not a musician at all. And I find that extraordinary that, people who just do other type of things and actually do it, not professionally, but they have a band or something. And that's awesome.
you came in the direction of cinema to this job.
Yeah.
And we're talking about art. Did you have any art heroes when you were growing up, or maybe now, or artists, traditional artists, or other artists of some sort that have inspired you in your work?
Completely. Oh, completely. But they are almost all in the comic industry.
Of course,
They are
of
all
course.
comic.
So who
Yeah.
are we talking about?
Moebius.
Oh, he was a concept artist on the original Alien.
On Alien as well? Seriously?
Yes.
Really? I didn't know that.
They had the most unbelievable concept artist team. Can you imagine having him as a concept artist on a show?
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine how blessed he has to be, because this guy was so creative, but in a way that you're like, he inspired me so much for not only my comic, but my art. Yeah. I try not to copy, but you can feel that I'm very, very heavily inspired by Moebius still.
I don't think there's any shame in copying.
You try not, but it's so cool what is like the style and the different things that he and also the creativity, like the subject,
Yeah.
like
I want to say the two things I take from him is his lines, a very simple, very clean, a little bit like now if we go back even further, Hergé, the artist behind Tintin, he also had very, very clean, simple line work. And then another thing that he does so well is just the raw creativity. All these things that comes out of him, the ideas for creatures and landscapes and stories, where does it come from?
It's exactly that. And also you have to think about, there is Moebius who do all this creative thing with absolutely gorgeous colors. So and I was like, basically Dune and Moebius were like the two big thing in my life as a literature, and Moebius, because I love deserts, and it drew a lot of these beautiful deserts, scene in deserts and everything like this. So I'm fascinated by that, and that's really funny. But also he did the Western stuff, because he did Blueberry, and Jean Giraud and Moebius have two different style. It's the same person.
Yeah.
It's
like as if you had an artist that was half his time he was painting Rembrandt, the other half his time he's painting Picasso. How can you explain this?
Exactly. It's exactly.
Yeah.
You're like, what? It's the same guy. Because I started with Blueberry, and I read after Lankal and everything like this, and I didn't know that they were the two same artists. It took me a while. I don't know how I discovered that. I don't remember. But yeah, it's my biggest inspiration, my biggest hero. But it's genius hero. It's something that I will never reach, because that kind of genius, it's what it is basically.
So that's one art hero. Anybody else?
Sergio Topi. I don't know.
What stories were they?
He did. He he drew a lot of one-shot stuff. But for example, you have a comic called Shara's Day, which is like Scheherazade, the tale of Scheherazade. He's an Italian comic artist.
Okay.
What is to Sergio Topi? It's like TOPPI, and is it's another thing. What he's doing? He's doing art in comics. He's doing all this beautiful illustration and with a lot of aquarelle and he has always like this kind of framings that are like beautiful, but more than anything he has this kind of the etching that he's doing are so precise and so beautiful. It's amazing. I saw an exhibition of him the real page, exhibit in Paris. The real page, it's amazing. It's like the work of ink that he's doing. You're like, what? If you look on him on the internet, you will see it's gorgeous what he's doing. He's one of like great artists, great artist.
I grew up in the library myself. As we were talking about, I was a quiet boy. If I wasn't drawing, I was reading.
Yeah.
And in the libraries, I was both reading books, but I was also reading comic books. And the amount of beautiful, beautiful comic books coming out of particularly France and Belgium.
Yeah.
The tradition for comic books is just unbelievable.
Yes, absolutely.
Then now I live in North America and they don't know any of these books. The North American comic book thing is a very different animal. Completely, one is a cow and the other is a horse.
Yeah.
They have very little to do with each other.
That's true, but in the same time, I learned to really enjoy American comics. So, American comics coming from Dark Horse or Vertigo. I'm not really a DC Marvel person. I try to, I read occasionally. I appreciate sometimes, but it's not really my thing.
Well, you must have read Frank Miller's Batman.
Yes, of course.
Okay, right.
Of course, and Frank Miller in general, actually, Sin City,
Yeah.
300, of course, yeah, absolutely.
When I see his drawings, I look at them and I'm thinking, he's not very good at drawing.
No.
But somehow he takes ugly drawings, I'm putting air quotes here, ugly drawings, and makes them so powerful and expressive through his use of the black ink versus the white page is unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. And the lighting, there is especially in Sin City, like he work on the light and shadow. Like I try to mimic a lot what he was doing when I was younger, because there is a really acute sense of lighting in Sin City. After in some other stuff, even if I like them, it's not as good, because when it's in color, it's kind of a little bit shading everywhere,
Yeah. I think when you have it in black and white, like the Sin City books, there it is just pure and raw and strong.
Yeah.
This expression. When you have, it's sort of like, I don't know, maybe it's a bad example, but if you have a family with just one child, that child gets all the attention of the parents. That's the Sin City books.
Yes.
And then if you have all the colors that are now fighting, you have the white and the black, and now all these other colors that are fighting for attention, you cannot pay attention to all of it at the same time. Now this is the mom and the dad with 10 children, and each of them will only get so much attention. It becomes a less strong expression. This is a bad illustration. But,
I see what you mean. But that's true that Americans are more sensitive to the stories. American comics are more sensitive to the stories than to the drawing. Like, for example, one of my favorite comic of all time, all international, it's Watchmen.
Oh, of course. Of course. But that's an English story artist.
Yes. It's the best story. First, it's the best story. They have the best editing because we always forget about like the artist, and the guy did an editing was like amazing because it's like watching a movie. Everything makes sense. Pages are speaking to each other. From it's you have a repeated thing, patterns, thematic, and everything like this. That's amazing. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing comic. Like there is so much care about like the editing, the framing, everything.
Do you think it's possible to take anything from these different comics and use them in our work as texture artists?
That's somehow yes, because that's how I like what we discussed before. That's how I work basically. It's like I will frame my work. I have tendency to frame, everything like a director basically.
So this is where your idea of the strong silhouette and all of this, which is a big thing in the comic.
Exactly, it comes from the comic, 100% from
Mm.
the comic. I believe in that. Like in strong one pattern or strong, design that make people like immediately, see it as a beautiful, elegant, even when it's a villain or whatever.
Mm.
That's the one thing I try at least. Yeah.
Do you have any other heroes from, I don't know, history, or because these are, sometimes we pick up things from them that change how we work and how we see the world. And
There is one book that changed a lot of my life when I read it, and I didn't believe. I'm not really a person who reads self-help. This is not a book of self-help. It's a writer who writes like historic book, like fiction history. And we decided to write a book about how difficult it is to like how to function it as an artist. Here for him, it's a writer, and it's called The Wow of Art.
yes, of course.
I think it's Daniel Pressfield.
Yes, that's Stephen Pressfield. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And this book changed my life.
Yeah.
Literally, my vision of the thing is suddenly is like, oh yeah. So I find it very comforting to know that basically what you have to do is be disciplined every day.
Yeah.
There is no other way. There is no other way.
Tell yourself no and sit down and work. Inspiration. Waiting for inspiration. The clarion call of the amateur. Inspiration. Yeah. Oh boy, to only work when everything feels right and you have that bolt of lightning from above. What a luxury. A luxury only amateurs can afford. Inspiration is for amateurs, said Chuck Jones, the creator of Bugs Bunny. Yeah, because if you are paid for your time, no one will think it very cute or funny if you don't turn up at 9 o'clock and starts cranking work out like 5 minutes later, because you're still waiting on inspiration. As a beginner, that feels incredibly uncomfortable, being forced to work without that comforting companion of inspiration, which has accompanied you hitherto. But soon enough, you learn through brute force that what inspiration brings to the table is a measly 5 to 10%, not the 99% it felt to you as you were growing up as a young artist. And that's when you realize that working only when inspired is not so much a luxury for the amateurs, but a prison that holds you back. Over the course of your career, you will hopefully develop skills and insights, like being able to see with intent and analyze visually, which will help you to compensate for the lack of inspiration. Now you're a pro who can just turn up, under almost any circumstances and start doing amazing work, or at least solid work. To the untrained, that looks like you got unlimited inspiration on tap, but really it is something else entirely. But at all times, having that white, empty canvas in front of you, or the blank page, or whatever else, and the pressure to turn that into something amazing, it's frightening. So it's easy to revert back to old bad habits. Like the soothing company of a dummy for a baby, we grow up with this, our first art friend, inspiration, and I think we often, particularly in periods of inactivity or pressure to create, fall back to that childlike mindset. It is debilitating, but oh so comfortable. To break free from the emotional shackles of inspiration, Steven Pressfield's seminal book, The War of Art, is very, very useful. His message is deeply uncomfortable, but desperately needed if you are serious about your art and your work as an artist. Keep showing up. Keep working no matter how it feels or what you manage to produce. It's the only way to be and to improve in your life as an artist. As I mentioned here, it's a message. It's a kick in the pants, so to speak. We all need at regular intervals to break free from the prison bonds of inspiration. Steven Pressfield's book has helped countless artists. It will help you too.
Exactly. Don't think. Don't think. Don't start to like anticipate or no. You have to like, that's a discipline of not thinking, of like, I'm doing it with a, okay. And also comforting of saying like, yeah, you will draw shit. You will draw horrifying stuff. And for weeks, maybe 1 week or days or whatever, you will draw stuff that you are not proud of, but it will come. That this moment where you will start to really get good at it.
Yeah.
Basically, you have to learn to suck.
Yeah, absolutely.
For being great after. But it was very comforting as book.
Yeah, this is a book that I read every so many years. I take it out and I feel like I need to hear those voices again.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly that. Like you forget like procrastination, the resistance.
Yeah, the resistance, exactly.
And that's true that everything you say, because we are all doing that. Like I prefer to do a washing machine than doing what I have to do, basically, which is insane.
Yeah.
Because I hate the washing machine.
Yeah. It's a funny thing with the psychology of being an artist. And I'm sure it's the same whether you're a sculptor, musician, painter, writer.
It's scary. It's scary. That's true. It's scary too. But in the same time, why you put so much pressure to make something so like that you have to do a chef-d'oeuvre, an artwork, a piece of artwork. Each time you start to draw something, you have to learn to sketch, to doodle, to learn like he does, like writing stuff, like for you.
Because we have, unfortunately, a traitor inside of us. Do you know what this is? Our imagination. Our imagination shows us a beautiful, beautiful thing that it can be. And then you have, like Vincent van Gogh said, there is an impenetrable iron wall between what you can see in your head and what you can put on the screen, on the canvas.
Yeah.
So when we're comparing what we are able to do with our imagination of how beautiful it could be, it is crushing us. It's just crushing us.
I wrote a script for a movie because I was so frustrated of that I invented this machine that I can read picture in your mind to project it on a screen.
That would be great.
I was so frustrated. But in the same time, it's a thing that you want to hit pause all the time because it's like, it's moving, it's constantly moving, constantly. Like, at the moment you're like, oh yeah, I like that thing. But suddenly it's like replaced by something else and you're like, pause.
Yeah. Yeah. I think sometimes we don't have a choice in being an artist. It's just, where does it come from? Why am I an artist and not my sister and not my brother? I don't know.
Yeah.
Where did it come from? I had nobody ask me and say, would you like to be an artist? It was just put inside of you, and you have to live with it, and there's nothing you can do.
No.
I tried for a long time after school. I had a real job. I worked in a bank. I was an investment banker. All of this, I tried to bury the artist, put it away. I'm not listening to you. Go away. I don't want to hear it. But it is impossible. It will come out, and it will force you to do what it wants you to do. So you have to. It's a very difficult life. Sometimes I wish, could I not have been something? My wife is an accountant, and her life is very simple, very easy. And here I'm sitting suffering every day, you know.
I know. I know. Imagine when we are two, the same couple of like.
I can't imagine what that must be like. But you must be able to inspire each other, or.
Completely. That's why we work great together, actually, because we have different strengths. I speak about our personal job.
Yeah.
Not at work. But we have like really different strengths and everything like this. So it's always we are working very well together. That's amazing, and that's awesome to share that with your loved one.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. But that's true that there is all this fear and all this, like a tendency to judge yourself really harsh.
Yes.
And everything like
perfectionism.
That the other one knows what you feel, because if he does the same, but he doesn't know how to help you there, because he knows, or I know that, it's part of the thing, unfortunately.
But when you have each other as an artist couple, and if you and you trust each other, you love each other, you trust each other, you know each other, is it not possible for one, let's say if you are sitting there struggling, is it not possible for him to come and sort of put a hand on your shoulder and say, it's okay, it's good enough, what you have there is good enough, and then you can release yourself from the perfectionism, from the criticism that you put on yourself? Okay.
No, totally. That's there is really like, and I hope I do that for him as well. There is this kind of positive attitude that we give to each other, to our own work, because even if we live together and everything, and we work together, we have a fresher eye on what the other one is doing. And so it's always way more positive that what you see you're doing. And also, I completely trust in his opinion and in his taste. I completely trust that he will always tell me when something is not going very well.
See, when my wife comes and tells me I'm sitting there painting and I don't like what I'm doing, and she tells me, no, it looks fine, I feel I cannot trust her because she's not an artist. So I dismiss her opinion. I'm thinking, you don't know what you're talking about. This is supposed to be much better than what it is now, you know?
Yeah, no, it's always supposed to be much better in your head.
Yeah, exactly.
No. It's a little more critic. That's the thing. It's way more critic, because the thing is that also he was classically trained in fine art.
Oh, okay.
So, and I'm completely how you can say that? I'm autodidact in drawing. I never learned. I never took class.
Have you ever thought about going back to art school, or?
Not art school, no.
No.
The one thing that I would like to, I regret, is not to have do a school like Art Deco or something like this. Because Art Deco, the thing is that you do a lot of things which is graphics, like different type of graphics, different type of, and learn different medium, but also different style. And I think it's a really great way to basically explore and be a little more confident about your drawing, you know?
Okay.
As really not the case. So I learned anatomy on my own, which is like perspective on my own, and which is still like is still the worst thing. I hate it. I hate perspective. And each time I do stuff where like super complicated, and I'm like, why?
But at least you have a forgiving subject. Let's say if you're working on a comic book with dragons, a human being, everybody knows what a human being looks like. If you're working with mythological beasts, maybe there's a little bit more room for interpretation or.
No, so you don't need to be super realist, but you need to have a good balance, because it's not pleasing on the eye to have like characters who have like legs who are too short, or moving in a weird way that you feel like that he break his bone, and it's not really elegant and everything exists. So you have to learn that, and also you have sets around.
Of course.
You don't have only one dragon. That's awesome. Like I always make the joke that next comic that I will do, it will be a potato in a bunker, square bunker,
Easy
internal
perspective.
monologue, no perspective, nothing. Like, because each time I'm super ambitious, and it works in the story, and the artists want to shoot the scriptwriter basically. I hate myself really, but yeah, it's.
How far are you with your comic book? Is it close to being finished, or is it just an eternal project that you'll finish someday? Or
I know the first book of my comic is released.
Oh, excellent!
Yeah, it was released in last year. No, yeah, last year I think. Yeah.
Where can you buy it? Where can we buy it?
It's online. Let me just check. Oops, I can send you the link after.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, but no, it's there. Like.
Oh, nice. Sadly, Myriam's graphic novel, Passages, has been sold out for some time. It's the first volume in a trilogy. I have a copy, and I'm eagerly waiting for the next part of the Passages story. I've added a link to where it was sold in the notes for this episode. Feel free to check for updates there. Also, there's a contact email there. Can't hurt to let your voice be heard. Did you want some more Myriam goodness? Maybe we could force another print run. The story itself centers on mankind's relationship with dragons, of course. She has created an intriguing parallel universe to our contemporary times, where human beings are able to travel through dimensions with the help of dragons. Yes, it's a lot. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm eagerly waiting for the sequel to carry the storyline forward. But hey, for any of us working in this industry and actually managing to finish something as big as this in our spare time, you don't know what an achievement that is. So we must be patient as we wait for more. Nice. Imagine having your own thing. How many pages?
There's 290 something.
Wow.
No, actually, for me it was to draw 290 something. So it's 140 page, almost 50.
How long did that take you?
To do the page and the cover, 6 months. It took me 8 months. Yeah.
6-8 months while you're working as well at the same time, or full time?
No. That's why I'm like 6 months. I took some time off.
Wow.
For 6 months, and 2 months when I was working.
I'm looking at all my comic books, and to have a physical, your own.
Yeah. It's awesome. But the fraud is like now I watch it again. I read it again, and I'm like, the drawing is such a shit. No, like there's some drawings that are like, oh my god.
Well,
the shape.
we were just criticizing Frank Miller's drawings, so if
no, it's horrible. It's very amateurish. So for the next one, because it's a trilogy, and I have another trilogy, and after I have another trilogy. Uh, for the next one, the book number 2, I know now what to expect, in terms of, because that was the first one, so I need to test boundaries and pipeline, basically.
Yeah.
So now I have a pipeline that work for me, and a process and everything like this. For the next one, I need to spend way more care about my drawing.
Is this something you want to do more and more of in the future, or do you after these trilogies, is that gonna come to an end, or do you see yourself in the future doing more and more? Let's say 50% comic book work, 50% visual effects work, or
Oh, that would be awesome.
yeah, you would like to expand it like that?
I am completely. That would be my ultimate goal. Will be that, yes, for sure, 100%.
How about, okay, let me take it one step further. How about 100% comic book work, 0% visual effects work?
The thing is that I wish I would, but the thing is that it's you need an income.
Yeah. Okay.
And comic books are not paying at all.
No.
Even for professionals, not even amateur people who do like me. Professional is really, really difficult profession to live, to just live or pay the bill or whatever. So yeah.
I know even the ones that we think of as heroes in the comic book world.
Absolutely.
When you hear the deadlines and deliveries they need to do, it's just crazy.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
we think of them as superstars, but they're not treated that way.
No. No, first, and yes, that's really difficult to, and you have to be brutally super well known, like, or to actually start to live a little bit of what you do. It's a lot of involvement, commitment, and everything like this for very few reward financially. Most of the time, they do their money on illustration or things like this. So yeah.
So what do you get out of it? Why do it at all?
I don't know. I mean, I like telling stories.
Okay.
And my main goal is to tell stories.
Could you ever see yourself tell stories through film, for example?
Yeah. When I am I study script writing at the university.
Okay. So where do you see yourself going with this? Or could it be animated films or feature live action films, or?
No, it will be more like if it's my stories. My stories will be like more now like the format of series that we are doing, the one-shot series that you can do, 10 episodes. Movies, the way now people do movies, especially when you have something a little bit fantastic, reality but fantastic, a little bit like a Stephen King novel, where you are in the real world, but suddenly you have something fantastic happening, like unusual, or paranormal or whatever. I feel like the treatment of this kind of things are very cheesy in movies, as it's way more successful in the development of series, I think.
That's interesting.
Don't you feel like that? That it's a little bit like in your face and showing.
Well, this is a genre that I liked when I was younger, but I feel these days I never see any of it that I like. So I've just become disillusioned with it. So I don't want to disappoint myself. So I don't spend much time on it, because maybe what you say, the stories are cheesy. It's more like they need to do 1, 2, 3. They have these steps they need to hit every single time, and you can see them coming a mile away. And I please seduce me, entertain me, maybe a little mystery, so I don't have to see everything coming, because it's like done with a cookie cutter. It's like it's a spreadsheet, like where you have Excel spreadsheet and you just can see they're literally just hitting beat after beat.
Yeah, it's exactly that. I mean, I have more passion in watching some series that I saw that were very well, and I love the style and everything like this, that actually lately, I didn't see a movie that each time I'm annoyed, and I hate that they try to force feed stuff to my throat. There is more subject than really matter. Like it's more like they fulfill with stuff, but there is not a consistent story.
Do you have an example of a perfect story that was told perfectly in this genre from maybe years ago, or do you have something that's like this is like your hero work where you're like, if I could do it, I would do it like that, or
The Arrival of Villeneuve. The Arrival? Arrival?
oh, I love that one with the circular language and the whole thing, and the film itself goes in a circle, which you only understand at the end.
Exactly. That was genius. Like
Yes.
really, it blew my mind. Well, what is this movie? It's awesome. I want to see it again. And you're like, oh. That's really like the last time that I'm like, oh my god, I love that movie. And like all the thing, like all the subtleties that you grasp, bit by bit. It was super. I love the visuals as well. I like the story in general. I mean, and the narration is genius. It's really clever, really really clever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And this, when you have something like this where aliens are coming to Earth, what
yeah,
does it mean? Will it mean the extinction of the human race, life and death, all of these things?
yeah,
You can do it overly dramatic. You can sort of stuff it down people's
yeah.
throat, but he doesn't.
No,
He's the aliens are not sort of like big scary monsters in your face. All of this, he's very careful. He takes a step back instead of a
yeah.
step closer.
It
And
makes
this,
them so nice also. Like they are very like quiet. At the beginning, you think they look like octopus, basically.
yeah, yeah.
It's so quiet and really when they start to draw this pattern, oh my god, that was awesome, seriously. And when you realize that the negative space mean also something, oh, that was awesome, seriously.
Yeah,
There's
I
so much meanings in such a short movie, and it's not a long movie. It's not long at all. I don't remember, but it's like less than 2 hours or something like this. No?
I felt I couldn't take my eyes off the screen,
Yeah,
because if I just closed my eyes for a second, I would miss something important that
yeah, absolutely. It was. I love that movie. So that's really the last one. Like that's the best movie I saw this last year.
yeah,
Not only visually, but the story. The story, I just really loved it. The way that they tell the story. I love when they, like Usual Suspects, like this kind of narration that it takes you by surprise.
yeah.
And actually, you follow the villain and you didn't realize. I love that. Oh, the first Alien, I love it because it still amazes me that automatically you think that Dallas, Tom Skerritt, is the hero because he has everything of the hero and he died. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
And super early in the movie.
Exactly. You think this is the guy, the leader that's in charge, he's decisive, all of it. He's going to save us.
Yeah, he's
But
beautiful.
no.
He has a bird. He
Yeah,
has everything.
absolutely. Yeah.
And suddenly, boom! Like quickly, like 1 second, and you're like, and I love the movies that like really still surprise me in that way.
Oh, that Alien, that was a fantastic. I mean, Sigourney Weaver also.
Oh,
See,
no.
this is the thing, because she is, well, there was one other woman on that crew, a young black woman, right? Who
And
dies.
no,
How many?
it's
No, how
you have
many
the
women?
you have the tall black guy and the petite woman with blonde hair, short blonde hair.
Yes, sorry, she's the one, and she's very panicky. She's very
Oh,
over emotional. She
exactly.
breaks down when she's faced with the alien. She can't even fight. She's just crying. She's lying on the floor. But Sigourney Weaver has something else, that a strength that only women can have. If a woman is a mother and she will protect her child, all of a sudden she becomes like a lion, you
Yeah,
know? And that is that strength she manages to find as she's fighting this thing that keeps killing all of her family,
yeah, yeah.
It's
That's
an unbelievable film.
incredible. And as sad as it is, we didn't like cinema never did a better apart Sarah Connor. did a better lead role female since.
You don't think so? I don't disagree, but I'm just trying to think, has there been anybody else?
It's sad. Everybody knows Replay. Everybody knows Sarah Connor. Everybody knows who they look like and who they are. But after, you have really hard time to find one.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
And that's the thing that I'm fed up. I'm fed up that right now we are doing movies who are like so politically correct that they try to force feed me and thinking that I will feel better because I'm a woman with like fake movie with lead role that are not working whatsoever.
But we do see a lot more women that are directing now, a lot more, particularly a lot more women that are of different colors, different ethnic, and also more women that are being promoted to executives. You know, the ones that will be greenlighting the movies and so on. So surely at some point it's going to even out. Like we will see more of this.
To be honest, I hope, but I can see and I can smell when a character was written genuinely at the beginning, was written like that, and when a character was written to please.
I don't think James Cameron was writing Sarah Connor to please anybody. This is just part of the film.
It's his character. It's his character that he put, and he loved Linda Hamilton, and she was, and this chemistry worked perfectly well. He always was like, he put also Sigourney Weaver in different role in his movie, and she looked. He wrote this role that like basically these characters exist already in his head, and I can feel that it's genuine. He likes strong women, so he just puts this role like this. I can see when it's not genuine. And for the moment, I didn't see any movie with that they try to force feed us with a strong female character role that feel genuine, and that's why it's not working for me.
What did you think of Captain Marvel?
No,
No,
that's one of the examples.
I liked her because she's very understated. For the reason that she's not sort of, I'm a woman and now I'm going to show the men, you know? So she's really going over the top, showing all her powers, doing up. No, she's confident in the way that she holds back.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't need to show anything. I don't need to prove anything. I'm stronger than all of you.
Yeah.
So I don't need to show it to you, you know?
Yeah.
And I like that aspect of the character.
I like that aspect too. Actually, I prefer Captain Marvel than Wonder Woman or any other movie or series. I have unfortunately I watched a little bit of the Batwoman series that they did.
Oh boy.
Yeah. No, it's they insist a lot on the fact that it's like we say, like you don't, a lion doesn't need to tell you he's a lion.
No.
You just see that he's a lion.
Yeah.
Just why you have to insist on that. And also the fact that it's always the thing that women are better than men. And you're like, why we just can't be like good, just good at what you do.
Yeah, that's the thing. But I suppose that's a reaction to women being oppressed over time.
Yeah.
So now they need to sort of go over the top the other way. But of course, in reality, man, woman, none of them is better. We need each other. We're equal. We're both good, but very different.
Exactly. That's. I mean, I'm feminist by default. I'm a woman, so I will always be for the right of women because we work. We have to be independent. Blah blah blah, blah and everything like this. But I always consider myself and the other women as persons.
Yeah,
not
of course.
Women.
Yeah.
Person. And here, like in the cinema, because we want so badly to make this kind of politically correct. It's not genuine. I feel like that is to please something or to make a point or something like this. It's not a person. You have to insist on the fact that she's a woman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Ripley, she was Ripley.
Yeah.
And Sarah Connor, she's Sarah Connor.
Yeah, and stories are about human beings. So if they are not human beings or people or persons first, but instead, now what is it? Then maybe it's a brochure, a marketing something, a product instead of a person. You know, we need that. We need that person to person thing in stories.
Exactly. I don't think that it's helping
Hmm.
at all. I think it's just everything is like manufactured. It's manufactured, sorry, to be politically correct because we need that and everything like this. And you're not changing anything. You make the thing more complicated because you overthink it. I
think you have a point there.
I mean, I have feminine characters. My main character is a woman in most of my story. But because I'm a woman, and it's easier for me to get in her, head to know what she will do. What she will do, not what she think about, like the patriarchy. No,
You mean let her be a human being, not a political statement?
Let her be a human being because she has enough in her plate, basically.
Yeah.
Just being a human being. But I agree that I can say that because I'm a first world woman who grew up in a republic, a democracy, and I was raised like a person, not like a woman. I never asked myself about like I can't do that or whatever, like never, because I was raised like a person.
I think it's also, I think one thing is coming from Europe. In a lot of the world, particularly that we're talking about film here and popular culture, North America is really the ones that are setting the tone.
Yes.
For what gets made and what goes. And they have a different point of view. They have a different background. You're speaking, it makes perfect sense to me what you're saying. You grew up in France. I grew up in Denmark. We have had Danish prime ministers since I don't know how long. It's not a big deal.
No.
Whereas America still hasn't had their first female president. For them it is a really big deal. So it's the difference between having that natural relationship with it, where this is just how things are, and then you have the other side where I don't know, everything is a political debate. It's a very different world.
Oh, yes. It's a fake way. That's the thing. That's what I perceive. It's extremely fake. That's the thing. Is that like it's manufactured in a factory. It's not a real thing. You know what I mean?
I think there's a lot of that to sort of please a lot of people. We need to put some fake women here to please all the women. We need to put some Asian lead role people here to please all the Asians. Mm-hmm. We need to put some black people over here to please all the black people. We need to put, it keeps going. We need to put people with this sexual orientation here, and just to make sure that everybody is happy and everybody feels, oh, I got something out of this.
Yeah, which is, and they were wrong because people feel it. That's the thing, is that you perceive it. You know that. Yeah. You know it's not working because the character was not written originally like that. You just do this kind of stereotype, empty stereotype, not a character, a real one. That's what I mean. Like I saw this movie, a terrible movie. It's still traumatizing, with Rachel Weisz.
Okay.
And it's called The Whistleblower.
Oh, I haven't watched that.
It's based on a real story, and she's a part of the UE army who go into ex-Yugoslavia, when after the war and everything like this. And she tried to look after girls who disappear, who are like things that they go for a contract for modeling and disappear in brothel and everything like this.
Yeah.
And it's based on the true story. So you have a casque bleu, the blue
The UN troops.
who are standing there, in a station, and that are not doing anything, and even participate a little bit because they go to the brothel and everything like this, and nobody want to know anything. And she has this guy, and she's a very tiny woman, Rachel Weisz, but she's splendid she's so strong. She have all the emotion and everything like this. And it's a terrible task that she have to do because everybody lied to her. Everybody tried to sweeten her. That's horrible, and it's actually an awesome way of showing a strong lead female, I think. Or Emily Blunt in Edge of Tomorrow.
I haven't watched that one.
Edge of Tomorrow, you have to see it. It's awesome.
Did you? What about? I was just thinking about the character of Mia in what was it called? Zero Dark 30, Bravo Dark 30. No, the one about the finding Osama bin Laden based on a true story.
Yes.
Have you watched that one?
It's with Jessica Chastain.
Yeah, exactly. Directed by James Cameron's ex-wife.
Yeah, it's an awesome movie.
Oh,
awesome.
What did you think of her character?
She was awesome. That's the thing, is that but she blended, you don't need to insist on saying, see, she's a strong woman and she's fighting against patriarchy because men are all like piece of shit and rapists. And you're like, no, she's a real woman who do a job in a very difficult environment.
In a very typically male-dominated environment, but because of her, if I would use one word to describe her, it wouldn't be woman. I would use maybe tenacity or persistence,
Exactly.
Because of that, she pushes all the physical obstacles aside, and just...
No, totally. And she with the explosion, she's rattled like anybody.
Yeah.
It's very scary. Yes. It's very, very difficult psychologically to handle everything else. So you don't need to insist on one just side of her personality as a character. That's what I mean.
Have you ever been discriminated against in your work? Myriam will be back in a future episode. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. We have a tiny bit of housekeeping to do on the way out. If this episode has been helpful to you, why not share the podcast with your colleagues and friends? If you'd like to support the podcast, I'd appreciate if you bought me a coffee. You can do that on Ko-fi. That is spelled ko-fi.com/The Naked Texture Artist. One word. If you have suggestions, comments, or questions, I'd love to hear them. Feel free to drop me a line on thenakedtextureartist@gmail.com. That is The Naked Texture Artist written out in all one word @gmail.com. As I mentioned, having a busy day job in visual effects means my release schedule for this podcast can be a bit irregular. So if you don't want to miss out, subscribe to The Naked Texture Artist wherever you get your podcasts. Or follow the podcast on the socials, then you'll be alerted when the next episode drops. The music in this episode was Awake by Tycho. Nick Sifoni helped put the sound together, and everything else was done by me, your host, Mark Pierre Sondergaard. Speak to you soon.